Hey guys, it's Mark from parkflyers.com. Today we're looking at a very unique and very special new car. It's the team associated Hoonigan Apex 2. And this is a ready-to-run four-wheel drive on-road 110 scale truck. This is very strange and very expensive. A lot of people are making reviews claiming that they don't understand why it's so much money. I hope to clarify that in this video. There is a reason why it's expensive. First of all, the body itself, the amount of injected molded parts on the body is extensive. You have them all throughout the car, and that is not cheap. So to make this body is extremely expensive, and I kind of like it, so I'm very into scale. The real Hoonigan was a very special car. The real one sold for about $1 million to a very wealthy buyer. It was this car has legendary status. It's one of the highest performing drift cars in the world, and it's very special. So they wanted Team Associated wanted to recreate it in 100% scale form, and I think they achieved that goal. That is definitely something that adds to the price. All these injected parts, if you see on the underside of the body, all the supports for all the injected parts that are screwed into the body, really nice. It has very nice touches to the body, like the scale antenna. The side view mirrors are realistic. You have the side guards, and you have the turbos with the little engine sticking out of the top. Really special body. That is definitely a reason why the car is expensive. Another reason is the servo. The servo in this car is 15 kilograms of torque. It's about 200 ounces. Metal gear. You're probably never going to have to replace that servo. You can't see it here, but anyway, it's in the car. Very expensive, very nice servo, good touch. Another thing that raised the price a little bit is they did a unique move where they put in a speed control that could handle a 3S LiPo. That is rare in this class, and in our case, we actually went with 3S ProTech RC battery, or graphene. It's an LiHV. LiHV batteries have a little bit more voltage than a standard battery. In this case, it's 11.4 volts versus like a stock 11.1. So let me just get to the point. So for me to get enjoyment out of a brushed car, I have to go at least 35 miles an hour. And in order to achieve that, we had to use an LiHV battery, and we had to use a 26 tooth pinion. Now, in the manual, it tells you not to go over 17 tooth for a 3S, but we're not going to listen to the manual. We're just going to put some cooling on the motor. We have a ProTech 30 millimeter fan with a Brood Racing little a fan holder. It just clips onto the motor. Really nice, convenient. This is a really high performance fan. It's not one of those cheap things that you can buy online. This is has a machined aluminum case around it for just to dissipate the heat. Also, the fan spins at a very, very high RPM. I think it's around 14,000. Anyway, so that is how we are running the car. We're gonna put this on a GPS system. We're gonna actually get the exact speed when we run it later, and we're gonna show you how fast we can get this on a 3S with a 26 tooth pinion. Another reason why this car is expensive is the differentials are extremely durable and very well built. If you look on the box, you'll see how deep the teeth are. It's a deep and it's a wide cut. So the ring and pinion are very big. It's a little bit overkill, just like the servo is overkill. The design of the differential is overkill, and that is something else that lends itself to being expensive. In my opinion, I briefly drove this car around just in a small space. I didn't go outside with it yet, but I did drive it in the warehouse, and according to what I see, the car is definitely special. Now, one of the things that a lot of people didn't mention in their video is the design quality that Team Associated puts all in their cars. Now, one design element that really I took notice of right away was the CG of the chassis. The center of gravity of this chassis is well below the driveline, and that definitely aids it in handling. When you drive this car, you notice there's something special about the handling. If you look at something like a Traxxas 4Tech, you can see how high up this is, and to get a better gauge, a sense of it, we have this little piece of metal here we're going to stick, and it actually fits under the 4Tech chassis, even though the 4Tech chassis is considered low because it's an on-road car. If you look at the Hoonigan, it doesn't even fit under the chassis. It won't even go in. This thing is basically right on the ground. And for handling, we know that you want your center of gravity as low as possible for drifting or just for all-around bashing. So this car is designed very, very well. Now, it is extremely heavy. They probably went with a very heavy design because they want the car to be a little bit more stable, because the car doubles as a really good drift car. I've seen videos of it drifting, and I was very, very impressed. Now, speaking of drifting, it comes from the factory with a little spool. You can put this in the rear of the car if you put drift tires on the car, and it probably will drift a little bit better. It also comes with a spare gear, which is a nice touch. Now, the suspension is not set up that great out of the box. You have 30 weight oil in all four corners. The cool thing about these shocks is they do have bleeding screws, which is nice. It lets you fill them up and put the even amount of oil in each shock. But first of all, 30 weight is not enough for this car. It's very bouncy. So when you drive the car, it doesn't really feel that good. We put 50 weight oil in the car, and we noticed that it drove a lot better. It didn't have like a pogo stick effect. It was like more progressive. You see, the damping is slower and it's more controlled, like a real car. So the other thing that we noticed is that the oil from the factory was not fully, the shocks were not fully filled from the factory. So that was another detriment to the car. So yeah, we've put 50 weight oil and the car handles much better. Now, the front and rear differentials have 5,000 weight diff oil in them. We don't think that's enough. I would suggest going with about 15 in the rear and about 10 in the front for optimal drive. We're going to be upgrading this car with the diff fluids, and we're going to be posting the results in the stage 2 video of this car. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be interesting. The other thing to note is the center differential is a spool, so it's locked. On an on-road car, that is definitely the best option, especially if you're going to be drifting it. Now, I suspect because the car is made so well, this car is going to really react very well to a brushless motor. It's going to be super stable, especially with that low CG. If you do high-speed runs where you're going to go up to 100 miles an hour, this thing is going to really be nice. As long as you have, I would put BSR wheels on it. Maybe in stage 2 we'll do that. We'll put BSR wheels, and we'll do a video up to 100 miles an hour, which will be really nice. We'll show what the chassis can do. But I will tell you, this car is made to last, and it's made to perform. I would even put it into a commercial grade category of quality. That's how well this car is made. All the universals, the center and all the universals on the car, every corner is steel. So nothing plastic in here. Another cool feature that a lot of people haven't spoken about is the active links in the back. They're called active steer links. When the suspension goes up and down, I guess the toe in changes, and if you look at the rear bearing carriers, they actually have the ability to rotate. You see they're on hinges. So as the suspension goes up and down, it affects the geometry of the rear wheels. Now, when I first drove this car, I noticed it was a little different. It feels a little different than a four-wheel drive car from another manufacturer, and I'm not sure if that's the reason why. But I definitely will tell you that this car is special. A lot of it, like I said, has to do with the LCG, very LCG chassis. I mean, that thing is just hugging the ground. Another weird, and I don't know why they did it, but another weird aspect of the car is the chassis is made out of fiberglass. Not sure why they went with fiberglass. It's nice. It's not like a cheap plastic. I'm sure it's going to last. Team Associated on their older cars use fiberglass, and I have no problem with it at all. As far as the suspension is really nice. You have multi-link front and rear. See all those links, and it is non-adjustable. So I'm sure that Team Associated is going to come out with some adjustable links in the future so that you can tune your car. I'd probably put -1 camber, -1 degree of camber in the front wheels just to enhance the handling even further. So anyway, overall, this is a fantastic car. Oh, one thing I do want to mention is that the wheels are definitely above average in quality. The rubber is super, super thick, and the foam inside them is really stiff. So this car, this tire, I would probably take a guess. It could probably handle up to 75, 80 miles an hour, no problem. Really nice tire. I think the compound is perfect. So we're going to take it out for a run, and we're going to actually assess the car a little bit better when we rip it. But I'm definitely curious to see how much speed we can get out of this car. The target goal is 35 miles an hour. That's usually where I like to be in my brush motors. If I have trouble getting there, we'll probably see what we can do with the pinion, or we may run this in parallel with another pack to get a little bit more juice out of the car, but we'll see about that. Anyway, this is Mark from parkflyers.com. This is a fantastic car. Please stay tuned. I'm going to be posting running video right after I'm speaking. So we're going to put this on now. So anyway, enjoy the video and let me know what you think. Pass you on your middle. All right, guys, so we're back from running, and this thing ran phenomenal. So I could confirm that price is worth it, worth every penny. I highly recommend this car. This car is so stable, and it drives very different than any other 10 scale. When you see me drifting the car, you see me holding the drift, where a lot of other cars, it doesn't hold it that well. The combination of the LCG chassis, see how that chassis, like we said before, is really down low, in combination with the compound of these tires and just the suspension, the 50 weight oil that we upgraded the shocks to, it handles great. It handles great. It's super stable. I didn't even feel that it needed DVC or TSM, which is traction stability management. It didn't need any of that. It was stable on its own. With TSM, this thing would even be better. If we did a run where we take this thing over 100 miles an hour, I probably would use TSM. Because if I didn't, it would probably be a risk. This car flips at 100, the cover is going to be toast. But anyway, this car is phenomenal. This is definitely an amazing creation by Team Associated on 3S with a 26 tooth pinion, and we're using the fan to keep the motor temps down. This thing is an absolute speed demon. With a brush motor, it is definitely satisfying at 35 miles an hour. Really nice, highly recommended car. So the question is, was the active steer working? Do you feel it? Well, the car definitely drove a little different. I think it has a lot to do with the low CG, but it could be the active steer. That active steer link is part of it. It definitely drove like a world-class car. This thing, I could tell right away, is going to drift like a supreme four-wheel drive precision car. It's going to be really good at drifting. Like I said, with drifting, you want that LCG really low. You're going to want to put that spool. We're going to put the spool in the back of the car when we set it up for drifting. And this thing is going to be a drifting dream. Also, the weight of the car, it makes the car really stable. It didn't seem to affect the top speed at all that much. I mean, 35 miles an hour on a 3S is fantastic for a 14 tooth brushed motor. It's excellent. The speed control did not overheat. We didn't experience any thermal shutdowns. We're going to see how long this motor lasts. We'll report back to you. Maybe on the stage 2 video, I'll mention it. We'll see if that motor could take a couple, maybe we'll try to do at least a dozen runs on this, on the 3S LIHV, and we'll see if it could hold up. I think it will. The motor was, completely touchable after I ran the car. It wasn't something that I thought was running over 200. Usually I can feel the motor, and I know when a motor's in trouble, and this one wasn't. It definitely has a lot to do with this ProTech fan. Really high RPM fan, really did a great job at cooling that car down. Overall, a highly recommended car. We are definitely going to be doing stage 2 and stage 3 upgrade videos for this car. It is so worth it. Usually I don't open and take a car for myself with every new release, but this one is mine. So I'm taking this for myself. I thoroughly enjoy this. And I definitely recommend this if you're in the market for something different. This is going to be that car. It is a little different than the rest. It's not a run-of-the-mill 10-scale car. It's very strange, a little bit expensive, but worth it. Like I said, all the expensive components and the way the car is manufactured, it's worth every penny. This is going to be a hit. Now, with any car that's a little strange and overpriced, it's probably going to take time to catch on. People are going to have to read the reviews. They're going to have to see one in person, how it runs, and I think it's going to take a little bit for this to catch on. I hope a lot of people see this video. Now, one thing we'd like to mention really quick is that the antenna tube coming out of the receiver box is a little short. We feel that hurts the range a little bit because the antenna itself is much longer. So we're going to use a part that's $1.99. It's a Traxxas part number 1726A, and we're not going to make it the full length. We're going to cut it down, but we are going to extend that antenna for better range. It's definitely a cheap upgrade that highly recommended. Yeah, we didn't. I had good range, but I felt like I didn't have the insurance that I needed, so we are going to extend the antenna a little bit more. That's a little short. So grow. The more support we get, the more business we get, the better videos we're going to be making. I'm going to be throwing that, investing in better cameras and better, just better, better things, probably more upgrades, more videos. But we definitely need your support. So please buy from us or our links. We really appreciate that. Anyway, this is Mark from parkflyers.com signing off. We hope you liked the video. Please give us a thumbs up. It makes a difference. Share the video, send it to friends, and comments below if you have questions. We love to answer questions. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next review. Thanks.